Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Growing Through Motherhood podcast. Have you ever read Proverbs 31 and thought, yeah, I could never be this woman? Like she's doing business deals, she's sewing clothes, she's waking up early, she's feeding everyone, and you're just trying to keep the house somewhat clean and remember to eat lunch yourself. I completely and totally get this. I have spent a lot of times in Proverbs 31, and today I want to break down some of my favorite little pieces in there and give you a reality of what they do and what they don't mean. Hey Mama, welcome to the Growing Through Motherhood podcast, where we grow through the struggles, joys, and beautiful messes of life together. I'm Kelsey Shalane, wife, homeschooling mama of 4, creator of the Confidence to Homeschool podcast, and most of all, a lover of Jesus and coffee. Motherhood is a wild, beautiful journey that stretches, challenges, and calls us to pivot at a moment's notice. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When we surrender it all to God, He brings growth and purpose in every single step. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's grow together. All right, friend. So this podcast episode came on the conversation with one of my friends. This particular friend and I have spent so much time in Proverbs 31. At one point in time, we did a 31 days in Proverbs 31 where we simply read the passage every day for 31 days. And it was such a fun and cool journey because it's so funny how different things will pop up even on a different daily basis. Like, just because you read part of the verse one day and it means a really big deal, like next week, it could be something completely that is popping off the pages at you. That is why it is called the living word. And that is why it does not matter if you read the same passage for 31 days in a row, God speaks to you and shows up in every second that you choose to commit to Him and choose to commit to knowing Him better. And so He can speak to us so differently through the Bible. I think my heart has come from spending time in the Word that I wish that everybody would know how deeply and how meaningful it is to spend time in the Word. If I could give one piece of advice to every single person that I come in contact with, it would be read your Bible. Read your Bible. No, kids do not come with an instruction manual. No, there is not a how-to of life, word by word, but there is the Bible, and we can pull so much information and so much of God and His wisdom and all of the things just from reading the book that He's given us. So today I am going to break down some of my favorite parts of the Proverbs 31 woman, but I want to set this in realistic expectations. So like Proverbs 31 woman, she was not meant to be a daily checklist. Like she was not meant to be all of these people at one point in time. So if you ever read through Proverbs 31 and you're just like, I just can't be her. I can't figure out how to do all of that. And I can't figure out how to do, like, I don't even want to cook dinner for my children. Like, I don't even want to make lunch one more time. I just don't want to. Or maybe some days you're like, I just don't even want to get off the couch. That exactly right there is what the Sabbath is for, is we are told that we get one day that we completely get to just lean into God. P.S. That is a thing. That was a squirrel moment. We're going to go back to what we were talking about. But I want to run through Proverbs 31 woman and just let you know this is not a daily checklist. This is literally just you growing into the woman that God has for you to be. This is just a little snippet of like, hey, these are the attributes that would make a wise and strong and wonderful woman in the eyes of the Lord. And so this is more like a future casting. Who do I want to be? Who should I strive to be? It's all about intentionality. Like, I intend to become more and more like the Proverbs 31 woman on a regular basis. And if you live with the thought process of just getting 1% better each day, then you're going to eventually not even recognize who you were once upon a time. Okay, so Proverbs 31, 11 through 12. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm all the days of her life. This was a real point of contention for me once upon a time. We laugh on a regular basis about the fact that I did try to divorce my husband like 5 different times. Not like physically filed paperwork, but like told him I wanted a divorce multiple times. And it's just been really, really interesting to see and grow into the woman that brings him good and not harm all the days of her life. God did not come in my marriage and just like change my husband to be this person that I wanted him to be. He worked on my heart first. I actually do have a podcast episode 2 on 7 ways that he came and changed my marriage. Like I said, he didn't change my husband. He changed my heart. He changed the things that I showed it up in. He changed my heart for good for him, not to harm him, but to pour into him, to be his person that encouraged him, who spoke well over him, who poured out love for him, who did one kind thing per day for him to let him know that I love him. He changed my heart from somebody who constantly wanted to be served to somebody who served my husband. And so much of that comes through actions and comes through words. If you're someone who is just like always correcting, always pointing things out, always noticing where he was not enough, the Bible speaks to that. A quarrelsome wife is like the constant dripping of a leaky roof. In Proverbs 19:13, it's better to live on the corner of a roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Proverbs 21:9. So it is known that a man will rise or fall to many different occasions. And for example, when he does something for you, when he opens the car door for you, instead of just saying thank you, you let him know, I really appreciate when you open the car door for me. Or when he, stops to grab you coffee. I really appreciate this. Like using more words to build them up, not, entire paragraph. Sometimes something more than just a thank you goes a long way. Sometimes something like just an acknowledgement of what it is that they are doing or telling or whatever. Like if you will put a spotlight on the things that you love that they do, and you will tell them continuously what it is that you love about them, you will get to see more of that. One, gratitude works in that way, such as when you're grateful for something, then you begin to have a grateful heart and be grateful for more things on your end. But 2, they recognize what it is that what you love, and they recognize how to serve you and how to serve you well in the things that you appreciate, and they want that. They, just like you want to make them happy, they want to make you happy on a regular basis. But so often they don't know how. They don't know what it is that they want or what we want and what we need. And I think that kind of goes back to this last podcast episode of what do you actually need. So much of marriage is just figuring out what you actually need from one another and communicating. That is why communication is such a big deal in marriage. So when you bring him good and you not harm all the days of your life, then you are telling him, you are stewarding him well, you are stewarding yourself well, and in turn, good things come back to you because you have the spotlight on the positive parts of your marriage instead of having the spotlight on the places that are rough and being torn down. So I had to ask myself at one point in time, am I watering the grass where I want it to grow, or am I pointing out all of the dry spots? Am I sitting here going, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, I don't like this, I don't like that? And if you recognize those things, if you stop and you look at those things of all of the places you're mad and all of the places that you're irritated, you're gonna see more of those things. you are going to find all of the more reasons to be mad. Your ego and your body wants to be correct all of the time, so it will look for all of the different ways to make you correct. So therefore, the opposite is true as well. If you will have gratitude, you will start finding more and more places to be grateful for your husband. That goes with kids also, and that goes with life in general. But for this particular conversation, we are going to say your husband. Make sure that we're bringing him good. Okay, Proverbs 31:15. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family. Now, this is where some of you are going to think, great, now I need to wake up early too. And if you are a morning person, you're like, yes, please sign me up. I love early mornings. That is me. I am somebody who wakes up early in the morning. I love my time in the morning by myself to reset, to get to do all of the things with God, drink my coffee slowly, like read my Bible, be in, just like a space with nobody around me. Like sometimes that means I'm switching laundry over. Sometimes that means I'm doing quiet chores around the house and I'm like talking to God as I'm doing them, because it says pray without ceasing. We are in a space where we get to just have a conversation with God like we are having a conversation with our very best friend. And so sometimes I'm doing things, and sometimes I'm sitting there reading my Bible, and sometimes I'm in prayer, and sometimes I'm in I'm going to say Christian meditation. Like it just varies and depends on my morning, but I'm not telling that you have to be somebody who wakes up early. If you are somebody who likes to stay awake at night and your brain really functions well at night, this is all about being intentional with your timing. I've learned that if I don't take time to fill myself first, everything else in the day feels so much heavier, because motherhood will pull from you all day long. So if you recharge in the evening, by all means, girl, get your recharge on. But I know for me and myself, it makes sense to wake up while it's still night out in order to provide for my family. In order for me to do my best, it makes sense for me to wake up while it is still dark outside. But if that's something that you want to do at nighttime, this whole verse is about being intentional with your time, being intentional with God, and making sure that you are in a space with Him on a regular basis so that He can fill you and give you the things that you need. Okay, she considers a field and buys it out of her earnings. She plants a vineyard. Proverbs 31:16. This is where I think a lot of women start to feel behind in life. You read this and you think, okay, she's running a household, she's raising kids, she's feeding everyone, she's investing, she's building something. Like, when and how is she doing all of these things? Like I said, I was in a conversation with my friend and we were talking about how many women actually do not step into entrepreneurship or do not step into a career until their late 30s, early 40s, and even into 50 years old. So many women start to strive between ages 39 to 55, and they start winning at that point in time. Well, why do you think that is? Lena looked at me and she goes, well, why do you think that is? And I said, I think that's because we're busy raising our children during the first part of that. And why do we assume we're supposed to be doing everything all at once? For many of us, and especially in our motherhood, our first assignment is our home, our children, our foundation, the daily unseen work. So often that is our space where we start. God starts building us for systems and seeing what works and seeing what is not working. And like, your home is like a teeny tiny little corporation. Like, you are pouring into each individual and figuring out what they need. And you are literally learning and being built for success inside of your home. So if you feel like you need to be doing something else outside of your home, that is a very good possibility. But just understand that there is a time and there is a place for you to be able to do all of the things within the Proverbs 31 woman. but it's not all going to be at the same time necessarily. So it doesn't mean that you'll never get to buy the field. It doesn't mean that there may be a season for it, but you're not behind. You're building roots first. And when the time comes, you'll have the capacity, the wisdom, and the strength to be able to step into and move along the path that God has for you. Okay, strength is built in the hard. Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed with strength and dignity. We just talked about this not too terribly long ago also. This verse used to feel like something that I had to achieve, and now I see it as something that's formed over time. It takes time because strength isn't built when everything is easy. You've got to go through the rough in order to get the strength. It's built in the sleepless nights. It's built in the overwhelming seasons. It's in the moments you didn't know what you were doing. Like you're sitting here and you're just like, Lord, I don't know what to do with these kids. I'm literally going through that this morning. As I'm recording this podcast episode, I had a whole men's session with my friend not very long ago about raising a daughter that is 12. Like she's getting into teenage years and there is starting to be things that are coming up. And I'm like, I haven't done this before. I don't know what it's like to do a teenage girl or a boy, but nonetheless, I have not raised a teenage daughter before. And I am figuring this out along the ways. But you keep showing up. Those years that felt like brain fog, like whenever my boys, I've got two that are 17 months apart, that felt like an entire 3 to 4 years of my life that were just like me walking in a fog. Those periods of time, those are when strength and dignity is being grown. You are learning to become strong. You are learning to depend on the Lord. You are learning where to look in order to be able to become the person that He is working on you to be for whatever mission that He has later on in your life. If your mission is to pour into your children, that is enough. That is a good mission. Even, like I said, even if it doesn't feel like it's a good mission in the moment, there is a time period that you are going to get the opportunity. They are going to be older and you are going to have more opportunities to do other things in your life, like buy the field and plant a vineyard. So all of this is going to build that strength, that character, and it's not forced, it's not faked, it's just a lived in space. Okay, wisdom that multiplies. Proverbs 31:26, she speaks with wisdom and faithful instruction is on her tongue. I had this conversation with my cousin the other day, and we were talking about dropping the judgment, the tool that we talked about in episode 11 and 12. And she told me there were 2 moments recently where she was triggered. One time she used the tool, it helped. The other time she forgot and it didn't go so well. And we were just kind of talking through this time period. And so I'm like giving her examples, and I can't even honestly remember what they were off the top of my head. But she was like, wow, this just keeps getting deeper. And I'm like, yeah, funny enough, I was like, when I had this conversation with Kathy, who helped me to learn the tool to begin with, when I had this conversation with Kathy, she goes, there you go, 20 years of life experience boiled down into 10 minutes. And I was like, it's really funny being on this end of it because I'm sitting here with 13 years of life experience in marriage, and I can pass it on to my friend in a 10-minute conversation, and she gets to bypass all of this time that I legit dug in the dirt and I was in the trenches and I was just clawing my way through difficult periods of time in my marriage, in my parenting, in my household, in my organization, in all of these different things that I struggled with. Whenever women bond together and we can pour out our wisdom upon each other and have faithful instruction in our tongue, we can change other women's life around the world. Like, it's a ripple effect. I can help my friend and she can help her friend with the exact same thing in a slightly different manner. Like when you pour your wisdom out, then that person that you poured out to gets to pass that wisdom along also. And you will never know the generations in which you get to affect. My friend that I am specifically talking about, she gets to raise her daughter differently. Her daughter is going to know that and understand that and be able to pass that down to her daughter. So it's going to affect her grandchildren. When we pour out wisdom and faithful instruction from our tongue, we will never get to fully understand the ripple effect of who it is that we get to pour into. I will never know what this podcast does in full capacity. Maybe on the other side of heaven, maybe whenever I get to heaven, maybe God will give me a glimpse of who this touched and how it affected their life. But my goal is to pour out to you, help you so that you can turn around and you can help others. My goal is so that you can turn around and you can dig into the Bible and find your own golden nuggets to be able to pour out into other people. That's wisdom. That is where wisdom comes from. It's not perfection, but it's like lived in experience, surrendered to God and shared with others. And that's how we create the village. That is what it means of it taking a village to raise children. Like you weren't meant to know it all. You were meant to have a good God who pours into you and gives you the people that you need in your life. Even if they're on a podcast episode, even if you don't know them in person, he will give you the tools that you need in order to be able to make it through the life that you are living right now. Okay, Proverbs 31:30. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. I love that just before this, it says her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband praises her. And while that is a beautiful thing to have your children and your husband sing your praises and say how awesome you are, I think of what the world didn't give, it can't take away. Because the world will celebrate charm, they'll celebrate appearance, they'll celebrate image, they'll celebrate what they see on the outside, but those things don't last. And if we're building our identity on them, we're constantly feeling like we're chasing something that we just can't hold on to. So what does last? It is your heart before God. Your reverence for him, your desire to walk with him, to be shaped by him. Because at the end of the day, the Proverbs 31 woman isn't a checklist. She's the result of living a life with God, with intention, and going before him on a regular basis and going, what's next, Lord? Where are we working next? I'm here. I'm your servant. I want to do what you want me to do. Sign me up, send me in. Let's go, coach. Where am I going? That is who the Proverbs 31 is meant to be, is a woman that is lived through wisdom and strength and dignity and continued to come back to God more and more and more and said, refine me, Lord. Make me who you want me to be. Allow me to die to my flesh to become the person that you have for me. That's who that Proverbs 31 woman is. You don't have to become her by striving harder. You become her by walking with God and allowing him to shape you one season at a time. I want to encourage you, if any part of this sparked something in you, there is so much more in the Proverbs 31 woman. And I want to be really clear that what I shared today, these are my personal takeaways. They are what came off the page the last week that I have spent in Proverbs 31. There's so much depth in this passage, and God may reveal something completely different to you. So here's what I want to invite you into. Go read Proverbs 31, 10 through 13 for yourself. You can do it daily. You can do it for 7 days. You can do it for 31 days and just sit with it. If you want to do it with a friend, that's even better. Share this episode with her. Ask if she wants to do it with you and walk through it together. It's so nice to have those iron sharpens iron relationships. But I want you to read it, pray through it, pay attention to what stands out for you. If you need to go to ChatGPT in order to figure out what in the world that actually means, please do, because it gives such good clarity on there. Because things Different things will speak to you in different seasons, but above all, I want you to remember this. You're not meant to be this woman all at once. You are being refined into her. And even in that process, right where you are today, the person you are in this very moment, you are still more precious than jewels. And I hope you have the very best day. Hey friend, thanks for hanging with me today. If this episode made you laugh, think, or whisper, okay, Lord, I needed that, go ahead and follow the show, leave a review, or share it with another mom who needs a little holy encouragement. And hey, if you're ready for energy, focus, and calm that doesn't require a miracle, check out those peptides. Your support makes this show possible, and I'll be walking with you every step of the way. See you in the next episode.